Hi, I'm Brandon. I'm an alcoholic and addict in recovery. A lot of the pain that I've had in my life, especially in some of the darker parts of my active addiction, was related to my perceived inability to please people that it was important for me to please, to make people happy that I really wanted to make happy. I was reading in Going to Pieces Without Falling Apart today by Mark Epstein, where he recounts the story of one of his patients who was also in this situation. She was trying to please a music teacher who was very unhappy with her performances, and she only learned to do what he was asking when she really approached her performances from a genuine place and let some of her fear and anxiety out in them. I also had an experience recently where someone I was close to was having a hard time pleasing a relative. And this relative was very unhappy with the person that I was close to. And it was difficult for them to understand that their response did not need to be dictated by whether or not the relative was unhappy. And so I think that's one of the important lessons that I continue to try to incorporate into my life in recovery. In my active addiction and in my life up to this point, I've really used whether or not the people I care about are happy with me as the indication of whether I'm doing the right thing. And that is a recipe for disaster because you can't please everybody in your life all the time. Number one. Number two, I'm not saying this to be cynical, but a lot of people's motivations are primarily selfish. And so if you are trying to please multiple different people who have selfish motivations, somebody is going to get hurt. And most often you are going to be one of those people. In recovery, what I've had to do is refocus where I get my satisfaction's not the right word, but the motivation that I have for my actions. And I've had to steer that motivation away from whether or not people are happy with what I'm doing and more align it with whether or not I'm doing things that are aligned with the values that are important to me. And this is something that I talk about a lot, is that development of values that I can use to guide my actions is an incredibly important part of life in recovery for me. Because at the end of the day, I am never going to be able to please everybody in my life. It's just impossible. Just like there are plenty of times where I'm unhappy with other people for things that they do, there are going to be times where other people are unhappy with me. And if I change my actions, if I do things differently just because someone is unhappy with me, then I'm going to end up finding myself getting tugged in different directions and veering outside of my own values and my own understanding of what I really want to be doing. What I need to really do is, when people are unhappy with me, by all means, take that feedback, look at what I'm doing, and determine whether there's something I need to do differently. Certainly, if there's apologies warranted, make them. But it's really important that I don't let the emotional reaction to someone else's unhappiness be what drives me to do the next thing in life. I've got to maintain a strong connection to the values I find important in order to use those as my guide in life. And that really has been an important way for me to maintain a sense of self in some ways, because sometimes I felt like when I was just reacting to other people that I lost a sense of who I was. I wasn't really me. I was just someone who was doing what other people wanted, and that's a really bad feeling, and that's not the kind of feeling that I want to maintain in recovery. So I really value coming up with my own ideas about what should be guiding me in life. What should I be doing next, and making those decisions independent of whether or not someone's unhappy with me. Because there are plenty of times where someone's unhappy with me that it's because I did something that I shouldn't have, and I need to correct that action. I need to make amends. I need to change my actions moving forward in order to prevent that again. But there's also plenty of times where people are unhappy with me because of their own hang-ups, because of their own issues, and there is nothing that I can do or should do to change that and make them happy. There is nothing that I can do that sometimes. Sometimes someone else's unhappiness is their problem, not mine. And as soon as I realized that and stopped trying to fix that in everybody, I found a different level of peace that really helped me out in my recovery. That's it for today. I'll be back here tomorrow with more. Have a good one.